The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, welcome everyone. Looks like everyone's just getting settled in here. We'll begin in just a few seconds. All right, welcome everyone to EMS Safety's Starting Your CPR Business webinar. My name is Josh Brownlee. I'm the Director of Marketing and Technology here at EMS Safety, and I've been with the company for 16 years, and I'll be the host and question moderator for today. Presenting with us, we have Jeff Albrecht. He's the Operations Director here at EMS Safety. He's a seasoned instructor and instructor trainer himself. And finally, we have Caitlin C. presenting. Caitlin previously worked with EMS Safety in our programs department. Now she partners with us as a consultant. She's an active instructor, and she's helped many instructors learn the ins and outs of the CPR training business. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. We're using GoToWebinar today. In the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see the toolbar. You'll be able to pop out or click on the orange arrow that will pop out the full control panel. On the control panel, you'll be able to switch from your headset to your speakers, depending on what you're looking at using. We'll also be using the question feature. So as you have a question, feel free to type it in as you have them into the box here, and we'll take a couple breaks during the webinar to answer those questions. So again, as you have them, fill them out there, and we'll do our best to address them during those breaks. If we don't get to your question, we will follow up with a response after the webinar. Another tool we're going to be using is we have a couple polls that will pop up on your screen when it's time. Just select the option that's best suits the best option that suits the question for you, and hit submit, and we'll discuss those as they complete. So to go over today's agenda, I'm going to throw it over to Jeff.
All right. Thank you, Josh, and thank you everybody for joining us today. Today's agenda is going to be broken down into two parts. The first portion is going to be building the foundation of your business, kind of how you're getting started. And then the second portion is going to be marketing. How do you advertise your company so that you can drive consumers to your business? So moving on here to section one, it's going to be broken down into a bunch of different pieces. We're going to start out by talking about selling EMS safety over other programs, what sets us apart, choosing a business name, deciding on training locations, taking payments, and staying organized. Before we get started though, we're going to start out with our first poll of the day. So we want to know a little bit about kind of your journey right now. So first off, are you a person that is considering starting a training business? Are you doing a little bit of teaching, looking for tips on how to start a business? Maybe you teach occasionally and you're doing this as a side gig, or is this your full-time job? So take just a couple minutes, answer this question, and we'll pop up the results here in just a moment. For me, the business is a side gig. I can tell you, I think Caitlin's probably going to be in the same boat. We do a little bit of training here and there, but it's not our full-time job, obviously. Our full-time job is working for EMS Safety, but it is a great way to earn additional income.
Yeah, I very much treat mine as a side hustle. So especially like ramping up for holidays, things like that, it's an easy way to bring in some extra income.
Good deal. Josh, we got any results on this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and close that up right now, and let me share that.
Okay, it looks like we're pretty well spread out. This is good. There's a few folks that are doing this as a full-time job, but the majority are kind of just getting started or are doing the same thing as Caitlin and I, a little bit of a side gig, trying to make some additional income on top of our full-time job. So this will be great. I mean, really, there's information in here that anyone can use, but for those of you that are considering starting a business or haven't quite got your feet wet, this will be some good information. So Let's talk about kind of the first thing you need to do, right? You went through the instructor course, you now have your credential, you have your materials, you're ready to start teaching. We need to work on those nerves. So for those of you that haven't taught a class yet or that are just going to start teaching, we highly recommend getting your nerves out, train with your spouse, your family, your friends. This is going to do a couple things for you as an instructor. The main thing is going to help with your flow. Depending on the materials you're using, whether it's our PowerPoint, our DVD, or the downloadable videos, your flow is going to be a little bit different. Understanding how we move through these different chapters and on to the next topic is very important, especially when you're teaching a paying client. So make sure you work out those kinks, give a free class to your family and friends to work through it, and then also get that feedback from your family and friends. They can be our harshest critics, right? You're gonna maybe do it in front of your husband, your wife, your kids, a good buddy. They're gonna give you that feedback that maybe someone else, a paying client, wouldn't give you. They're gonna tell you what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. Use this feedback, make your presentation better, and move forward. When you are ready to start teaching, when you're ready to start that business and actually collecting those funds and making this part of your everyday or every week routine, start small. You don't need to jump into this and have 12 students on your very first paying class. Maybe you start out with a class of 3 or 4, maybe up to 6, so you can kind of step into it instead of jumping right in. It's a little easier for us as instructors to observe those small groups. We're able to give that immediate positive feedback to our students in a smaller group, and overall, it's going to be a lot less overwhelming for you. So start small, work your way up to those 12 student classes. Now, how do you sell it, right? You're part of EMS safety, you know we're a good program, but how do you sell our program next to an AHA or an American Red Cross? Well, there's a couple things you need to know. All of us are nationally recognized programs. We follow the same exact guidelines as American Heart Association and American Red Cross. And as a matter of fact, we get those guidelines from the same place, which is ILCOR, the International Liaison Committee on Resuscitation. So when people reach out to you, they ask you, maybe I've never heard of EMS safety. I thought this was an AHA credential. Be able to break down where we get our information from and that our credential is equivalent to one of these. Talk them through it and have a little background on the company. So if you do get tough questions or pushback, you're able to walk yourself through it. Also, good thing to know where our approvals page is. Many of you have been here, and if you haven't, I strongly suggest taking a quick visit, emssafety.com/approvals. It's going to have all our pre-approved agencies, both national or federal approvals and broken down by state. So if you're in the state of California, and you can see as Josh is scrolling through here, there's a number of pre-approved agencies. We're good to go. You wouldn't have to worry about teaching for a local EMS. Our program's approved. You wouldn't have to worry in the state of Colorado, dentistry. There's a bunch of different approvals here that you can work through, double check, and if you get pushback from one of your clients, you can actually print these out, get information from some of our staff here, and provide them with that pre-approval so you put their mind to ease. Now, if you're trying to get into a business or an area where you don't see a pre-approval and they're requesting that, well, that's something you can ask for. Come here to this button on the top right, approval request form. You're able to fill in the information on that agency or that particular area that you're looking to teach, that organization. And what we'll do is once we gather this information and you submit the form, our team will reach out and seek that approval on your behalf. So don't be afraid to reach out. If you have questions, again, reach out to our team. We're here to help. We're here to have as many approvals as we can. Another thing that sets our courses apart from others that are on the market is our courses are interactive. We're going to teach hands-on skills. We're going to test hands-on skills, and you're going to learn from all these videos are going to be real rescuers, real victims, and real survivors that have been in an emergency situation. Our videos are captivating and really draw the attention of your audience. So make sure you explain this to your students that this isn't going to be your sit and click through a PowerPoint and stay in your seat for the next 2 hours or 4 hours. We're going to be getting hands-on, and you're going to learn some real life skills. Make sure you can sell those abilities, sell your service. Again, you're your salesperson. So knowing all the information we just shared now is going to make your job a lot easier. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about choosing your business name, kind of, again, starting from the ground up, building that foundation. I'm going to hand it over to Caitlin to discuss some of those topics.
All right, so when you are brainstorming potential business names, you want to make sure that you're choosing something that is easily identifiable to the public as a CPR and first aid training business. So some sample keywords that you could look at using, of course, are going to be CPR, AED, first aid, but you could also use something like safety or emergency response. You're just looking to create a unique name that's easily identifiable. Now, once you have a name in mind, we want you to go ahead and verify that that name's not already being used. And you can just do this through a simple Google search, or you can contact your local county recorder. You know, the last thing you want is for students to think that they're signing up for a class with you or your business, but then they mistakenly choose a different business because it has a very similar name, right? And then worst case scenario, and this has actually happened before, we received a complaint about an instructor's business that has a really great reputation. And it turns out that there's another CPR business that's not affiliated with this instructor or with EMS safety, but it has a very similar name and it's in a close proximity. So our instructor spends a lot of time combating negative reviews and complaints that in reality have absolutely nothing to do with his business. So, you know, moral of the story, if the name's already taken, just go ahead and choose another one from the get-go. Now, with that being said, we also don't want you to get caught up in finding the perfect name, right? We don't want to get caught up in a case of analysis paralysis. Choose a name. We want you to focus on building a great reputation as an instructor instead. So once you've zeroed in on a potential name, we want you to look at registering that name with your county or state clerk's office. And this is the office that's going to help you determine if there's any other business-related steps that are needed, such as maybe obtaining a business license. Things like this are going to vary based on local, county, and state requirements. So just be sure to check with them, find out what those specific requirements are, and the processes that might be involved. Now, Josh has pulled up a great resource for you guys. It includes some steps that you can take no matter what business size you're looking to achieve. It's going to cover information on registering your business name, registering as a legal entity, and with the IRS. Now, these steps don't necessarily apply to all businesses, so just take a look at it, see what might apply to you based on your teaching and business goals. And Josh will go ahead and send that link out to you guys as well. All right, so when we're looking at choosing potential training locations, we do have some instructors that choose to have a storefront where they always hold their classes, but you're not required to have that dedicated space. The only thing that EMS safety is going to require is that there's adequate space for your students to practice and test skills, that it's safe for the students, and that there's technology available to show the required videos. Now, in our previous webinar, we went into great detail talking about the options that you have for showing the course videos, along with a lot of other valuable information about just getting started teaching in general. So if you weren't able to attend that, I highly encourage you to check it out online. You can find it at emssafety.com/webinars. So let's talk about a couple potential locations that you could hold classes at. It's perfectly okay if you choose to hold trainings at your home or at a student's home. Now, as far as having classes in your home, I would recommend reserving this for students that already know you. You already have rapport with them. You know, we want to put ourselves in the mindset of our students. Would someone feel comfortable being in a stranger's home, right? And then in turn, if you are choosing to go to your student's home, you're providing that, you know, we'll come to you type model. Just make sure that you as the instructor also feel safe going to someone else's home. Now, you do have a lot of other options too. If you are teaching for an employer, you know, they want you to come in and train so many employees, a lot of times they will provide you a room at their facility. And you can also look into renting a room within your community. So I would suggest looking into things like city facilities. This is going to include libraries, senior centers, recreation buildings. You can also look at private meeting spaces at hotels and convention centers. This is actually what we do for our instructor courses across the country. And then you can look at some smaller spaces too. Look into local churches, schools, youth organizations. They're usually going to have facility rentals available too. It helps them generate a little bit of extra income when those rooms aren't being used for their primary use. Just know if you are going to look at renting a room, there will be a set fee, and then usually they'll also have a room reservation contract and a refundable deposit. So just make sure that you're leaving the room in just as good of a condition as you found it, so that one, you can ensure you're getting that deposit back, but two, that facility will want to continue to work with you in the future. All right, so let's talk about setting your rates, right? This is the big question we always get. How much do I charge my students? And unfortunately, there's not just a cut and dry answer for this. Classes across the country, the fees are going to vary. So where I'm from in Texas, the going rate for a class is usually about $20, maybe $30 a student. Whereas where I lived in California, combination classes were going for upwards of $100. So it's really going to be up to you to do a little bit of research. So we want you to evaluate your competition in the area. Again, you can do this through a simple online search. Where I'm at now, I would just type in CPR classes in Dallas, Texas. And with today's internet world, you're going to have a lot of websites pop up, and usually that fee will just be front and center. You can also call around and talk to some of your fellow instructors. They're usually more than willing to share that kind of information. You'll also need to factor in your expenses to your rate, right? You want to look at the cost of student workbooks and cards, student training supplies, factor in the cost if you are renting a room or say you're having to travel a pretty good distance in order to get to location. Also, if you are issuing continuing education units to your BLS students, or if you happen to be in California and you're providing those EMSA child care stickers, you're going to want to factor that cost into your rates as well. And then, of course, it's going to be up to you to determine what your desired profit range is going to be. And this is going to be based on your teaching goals. So when I first started working with EMS safety, I just wanted to become more familiar with the program and then provide a much needed service to my fellow military spouses. For me, it wasn't about necessarily making a large profit. So at that time, that going rate was about $100 a student. So for me, it was really easy to offer a deeply discounted rate compared to the classes out in town. And that's exactly how I marketed my classes. So it ended up being a win-win for them and for my business. Jeff, you want to give them some options for how they can take payment?
Yeah, absolutely. So payment should be one of those things that we get figured out ahead of time, right? The last thing that we want to do is have 12 students show up to your facility, or maybe you rented a facility and you have different people coming in, and now we're scrambling to get payment taken care of. So make sure you put your payment terms, your conditions out there ahead of time. Let them know that if they can pay ahead of time, maybe using PayPal or an online option, you can take care of that, and you can mark them as paid before they get to class. If they are going to be paying at class, make sure you arrange that payment and you know what's going to be coming in. A couple things to remember. Having a refund policy in place is very important, and this is going to be extra important if you are using a payment option like credit card with Square Pay. Most of these credit card companies are going to want you to have a written refund policy in place, just to avoid any confusion down the road, or if there are chargebacks that come your way. So this is something you can send out with your course email, right? Hey, class will be held on this date at this time. If you need to cancel, please cancel X amount of days in advance in order to get a refund, a full refund. As long as they have the terms and conditions ahead of time, it's going to save you a lot of headache. Also, one thing we like to cover is our policy on issuing cards. It's in all of our instructor manuals in the admin section. You must issue your students cards within 14 days, regardless of whether or not you received payment. So you go in, you teach a class, all 10 students took care of their skills portion and passed. However, the employer hasn't paid you, and now 14 days have gone by. You as the instructor are responsible for providing those students that pass the skills test with their cards. So again, it goes back to getting this payment arranged ahead of time. Make sure that payment's discussed and figured out prior to class, so you don't have to worry about issues coming up and not worry about obviously withholding cards. I mentioned these kind of throughout this last portion, but I want to touch on them again. Some examples of ways you can take payment. Again, Square, it's a great one. It plugs right into your cell phone. You can swipe a credit card. For a small fee, you're able to take those payments. PayPal and some other apps out there allow you to pass money back and forth. Again, some of them do have a fee. Make sure you read up on that to figure out if there is a percentage that they're taking. Cash is always good, as long as that's an acceptable form of payment for you. Cash can be handed to you at the beginning of class. Some of you might decide that you want to put a company on net terms. I, for instance, work with a trusted client of mine. I've done probably 15 or 20 classes for them. I always invoice them at the end because, you know, I trust working with them and I've never had payment issues. So just make sure you sort out what you're going to do, your client, and you both have an idea of how payment should be arranged, and get this hashed out ahead of time to save you any confusion. All right, kind of being organized goes hand in hand with the payment portion. So I'm going to talk about two parts where you really need to keep organization at the top of your list. For starters, it's going to be your course records. As all of you know, course records must be maintained for at least 3 years, regardless of if you keep them in digital format or a physical format. 3 years. So if you're keeping them physical, you got to put them in a box. You got to hold on to them, put them in your garage for 3 years. If they're digital, they're going to go up onto the portal. You never have to worry about it. We're going to keep pushing this digital rosters deal because it's just an easier way to keep track of everything, and there's no chance of you losing that record. So really consider this when you're making your next roster, what's going to be easiest for you, or even if you might take those physical rosters that you fill out in class and upload it so that you don't worry about losing them. Also, this gives you an opportunity to keep track of your students. You know that these certifications are good for 2 years. When you're getting about, I don't know, a year and 9 months out, you can start reaching out to these folks and getting them scheduled for their next class. This is return business, and this is going to be your best form of income. Once you've been doing this for 2, 3, 4, 10 years, a lot of your business is going to be, you know, return business. So keeping good, accurate records is going to make your life much easier in the future. To go along with that, it helps you track your income and expenses. Many folks are going to use software such as QuickBooks or Peachtree that helps them, you know, keep track of everything from cost of books and cards, travel, anything else. If you're going to be doing a lot of teaching, and especially for those of you that checked that this is your full-time job, we highly recommend some type of software to keep track of that. If it's maybe 1 or 2 classes a year, or maybe just a class a month, a simple spreadsheet may work for you. But again, make sure you keep track of these expenses, because at the end of the year, when it's tax time, you're going to want to be able to track all these numbers down and be able to easily reference all this information. Quick reminder, as you can see at the bottom of the screen there, we have a Q&A session coming up here and just a couple more slides. So if you have any questions about any of the topics that Caitlin and I discussed, please feel free to throw a question in there and we'll get that addressed here shortly. All right, one more thing I'm going to discuss before handing it back over to Caitlin is going to be adding some additional supplies. So being a one-stop shop, as we like to call it. Many instructors go in, they teach a class. I know, for instance, when I'm teaching a class, I'm going to talk about the importance of gloves, right? We all are. We're going to talk about the importance of barrier shields, having a first aid kit available. Well, there's many students, unfortunately, that don't have any of these. And after sitting through a class of yours for 4 to 6 hours, they realize how important these items are in an emergency situation. So you may have an opportunity to sell some of these items. If it's something you're interested in, it may be worth carrying a dozen of a few different small products that are available for purchase after your class. This is going to do 2 things. It's going to give your students the ability to pick up the supplies that they need, right? It's a value add for them, and you can make a little additional income. Same thing goes for first aid kits. Again, we sell a wide variety of them here. If you're interested in adding that and putting a couple different models in either in your business or in your, in the back of your trunk of your car to travel with you, that's a great option. Instead of driving business for Amazon and telling them to go there to find a kit, you can make that sale and collect a little additional income. Now, if you are going to do this, another thing to look into when you're obtaining that business license or going down that road is looking into a reseller's permit. Certain states and counties, cities require this. I can't give you the specifics on every one of them, but look into it a little bit and see if that's something that's going to be needed. The last thing I want to mention, and some of you may already be enrolled in this program, for some of you this may be brand new, but it's our AED sales agent program. You as the instructor go in and you teach a class and you talk about the importance of AEDs. Many businesses that you go into may not have one on the wall. Well, now we have a program where you can go step by step through it and become an AED sales agent. There's a link that Josh is going to send out here at the end of the webinar. It's going to walk you through how to get set up. It's a free process, doesn't cost you anything additionally. We give you a bunch of documents and videos to walk you through to give you the information. And then we're also here to answer any questions for you about selling AED units. Really what this gives you the ability to do is, as the trusted person in that business teaching that class, is it gives you the ability to pair an AED sale with your CPR training. Now, you can generate quite a bit of additional income doing this, and it's a very simple process. So if you're interested in having the ability to sell AEDs, if you'd just like a little bit more information, I highly recommend you go to emssafety.com/AED sales agent program or click the link at the end. If you have additional questions that weren't answered on that short video that you'll watch, feel free to shoot us an email to aed@emssafety.com.
All right, everyone. Don't forget to ask your questions as they come in, and we'll do our best to answer them during these sessions. And we've got a couple questions here. Are the slides available on the website? Well, actually, this is being recorded, so there will be a link to this webinar. Once it concludes, the email will contain a link to the recording. Let's see here.
You can also go to emssafety.com/webinars. All our past webinars will be posted up there, and that gives you a good resource for, if you missed one or some of the upcoming ones you can't make it, go ahead and visit that website and you can watch them all there.
Okay, here's one. Do I need a business license?
Great question, and we get it all the time, right? Unfortunately, that's not something I can answer for you straight out. I don't know how much you're teaching. I don't know exactly, all the ins and outs of the legalities of it. So the best thing that you can do is reach out to your accountant, your tax professional, go to that website that Caitlin and Josh kind of mentioned here earlier in the webinar and get some advice on that. They're going to be able to walk you through getting your business set up and seeing what type of licensing is required in your state or your county to make sure that you're compliant. So do a little extra research, reach out to them. They'll be able to walk you through it.
All right, we got another one here. How are people generating leads?
Caitlin, do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, sure. So in our upcoming section, we're actually going to talk about marketing your business, so different routes that you can take to really generate those leads. Some of them more active, some of them are going to be more passive. So being included in our Find an Instructor search, posting your classes within the instructor portal for upcoming classes. Those are leads that just come to you without really having to do anything. So if you'll just hold tight, we'll definitely go ahead and discuss some of those options in the next session. And then if you have additional questions after that, feel free to go ahead and plug them in and we'll try and get them answered.
All right, and let's see. What is the best way to determine the fees? So as Jeff had discussed, basically calling around or doing Google searches of your local competition, see what they're charging, and also, what are your costs? What are your costs for workbooks and materials, training locations? So all that factors in, and again, the best way to find what others are charging is to contact them and ask them. See, we have another question here. When teaching your when teaching your classes, what do you find easier, the PowerPoint or just the video?
For me, it's always going to be the PowerPoint. I kind of learned to teach CPR with the DVD and obviously my instructor manual. Once we put the PowerPoints out and I was able to use that, it just made life a lot easier. So instead of having to carry around the DVD remote and constantly start and stop and find my different chapters, that PowerPoint's clickable. The videos will play when it's time for them to play. It has certain points for you to discuss. So if you've got a facility that you're working at, or you have the ability to bring a projector or plug into a TV with an HDMI cable and bring your laptop, I highly suggest at least trying the PowerPoint in one of your next classes, because it makes it really, really easy, and the flow of the class is really simple.
All right. So for health fairs, can I obtain brochures of the AEDs I'm selling, and gather complete information and knowledge about the AED?
Sure. So there's going to be certain brochures or certain resources that are going to be available on your portal. So for those of you that already set up as an AED sales agent, you'll notice an additional window opens up, or an additional document section opens up for AED sales agents. You'll be able to have some general information there on different brands of AEDs, some of their features, advantages, benefits. And then if there's something that you don't have that you're looking for specifically, again, reach out to aed@emssafety.com. We're happy to help you work through it. And if we have something we can provide you with that's not available on the resources tab, we'd be happy to do that.
And last question here, will I need to carry insurance?
I knew that question would come up. So this is, again, probably the second most common question we get is, what type of insurance do I need? I'm hoping Josh can pop up the website here in just a second, but we actually have a link on emssafety.com/liability insurance. This is going to kind of walk you through some of the steps you might be able to take. It's just informational. If it's something that you want to do, if you want to reach out and get a quote, again, we highly recommend that you carry some type of insurance policy just to protect you, but to say that you have to have one or you don't, I can't answer that for you. Reach out to one of these, or reach out to accounting, tax professional, insurance professional, figure out what's best for the size of a business that you're running, and see if a policy is right for you.
All right, thank you, Josh. Right. Let's go ahead and move on to section 2, marketing your business.
Okay, this section, we're going to break it down. I know a few of you had questions about, how do I drive business? Well, this is what's going to be covered in section 2. So we're going to focus on a few different target markets and how you can direct your advertising to them, creating a website, pairing social media and some, old school flyers with it, networking yourself, and then, as already mentioned, earning that repeat business from your customers. So let's talk about target markets just a little bit. In any community, there's going to be a number of different places where different types of CPR, AED, first aid classes will work. You have workplaces that are required to have CPR and first aid certifications, childcare facilities, caregiver facilities, and of course BLS, those professional rescuers that need their credential updated. So what we need to do is, as instructors, is figure out which one of these markets we want to tap into and then how to advertise. If I don't have a BLS credential, I can kind of forget about that market. My class isn't going to work for a paramedic EMT if I'm only teaching basic CPR and first aid. So make sure that you're not using your advertisement in the wrong places. If you have an area where there's a lot of childcare facilities and you really want to focus on getting into that market, make sure you aim your marketing to childcare providers. Let them know the services that you offer, the approvals that we have, and you can move forward in that direction. Also, another thing to think about, and as you get more established and you have time to sit down and grow your business, set up trainings with these local businesses. And this doesn't have to just be you walk in and a handshake and you train 6 employees. It might be that, but a lot of times it could be setting up a contract or terms with a government entity, a certain business that's going to give you a lot of return business. Many of these are made available online. There's bid opportunities that's posted in a public sector. You can go there, you can bid on them, you can fill out information packets and attempt to gain the business of a certain company or government entity for a length of time. Now, these are really great for someone that's, trying to keep that return business, trying to keep everything afloat, because this is guaranteed business coming to you either on a weekly or monthly basis. Many instructors will go out there, they'll spend the time, they'll spend, an hour or two to fill out the paperwork because they know this is going to add credibility to their business in the long run, especially if they can do some training with a really well-known business in their area. All right, Josh. I think he's going to talk about website.
I'm going to go over creating a simple website. So we get this question from a lot of instructors looking to start their CPR business. Do I need a website? And the answer is yes. It's really easy to create nowadays. Everyone looking for what they're going to eat tonight to what car they're going to buy, they're pulling out their cell phone and looking it up on Google. They're searching for it. So they're doing the same thing for CPR class. How do I get CPR certified? If you don't come up in that search, they're not going to call you. So generating leads, this is a great way to do it. It's one of your many angles of generating leads. There's many low-cost companies out there that will do everything for you. Register the domain, host the website, and give you a easy-to-use template where you just plug and play a few of your pictures, take pictures from your training class and put that on your site. Squarespace, Wix, web.com, all of those are probably about $10 to $20 per month to host a professional looking up-to-date website. They're all mobile friendly, so when someone does come to your site on their phone, they can read it. And you only want a few pages on that site. You need to keep it simple. You want, people want to know how much your course is, and obviously what do you offer? What are your target markets? When are your courses? So 3 or 4 pages about your business is all they need to sign up with you. You also want to put some information about yourself. They want to know who they're contacting. How long have you been an instructor? What's your background? That information goes a long way. They want to know who they're going to get training from. On your website, you could also link back to our approvals page that Jeff had talked about that adds more credibility to the program that you're teaching. They can see those approvals there and know that it's backed by EMS safety. A lot of these companies also offer SEO additions. That's search engine optimization. So that's getting your website to come up when they search for CPR training in Dallas. You want your website to come up. Now, there's going to be a ton of websites that do come up in that search. The more optimized your site is, the higher you show in that search. So if you can throw a few dollars at optimizing your site with one of these companies, it goes a long way, and you'll be able to see the return on getting new leads to your site. Now we're going to go into a poll and start talking about social media. So, Jeff, if you want to talk about that while I pull it up here.
Sure. So really what we're looking for here is we just kind of want to get an idea of how many of our instructors are using social media. So if you're not using it, we understand. Click that top one. Maybe you have an account, you look at it occasionally, or you're a regular, right? You visit every day, but hey, I only use it for personal use. I'm only connecting with friends and family. And then the last one, are you using it for both personal and business? A lot of folks are pairing up both of them these days. You've got a group of friends or a base of people that you know, and now you can also market to them. So which ones are you guys using? We'll talk about this here shortly.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and close that poll here. Just a second.
All right, a pretty good mix. Some don't use it at all. A lot, kind of like me, I'm on it, but I only use it for personal use. And then some of you are doing what we recommend, right? Using it for social media and for personal and business use. So that's great. You might as well use the folks that already know you and that trust you, then you can market to them. And if nothing else, maybe get a referral from them. So we highly suggest the use of social media. Actually, that's going to be the next topic that Josh is going to discuss.
Yeah, social media, it's free. So if you are running a business, go and create business accounts on each of these platforms. Having a presence out there, it generates more leads. A lot of people, we actually just got this question today. What do I post to keep my business relevant? EMS safety, we post safe stories, relevant stories to CPR first aid training pretty much daily, about 3 times a week. So you can easily go and share those same stories on your page and put a comment to get certified, contact me. So that works really well on Facebook and Twitter, LinkedIn. You also want to encourage your students to go, put reviews on all those sites. Yelp, if you have a business out there, go and check your Yelp reviews. If your business isn't listed, you can get it added pretty easily on their site. They have a button, just click Add My Business, and they'll do a search for you. LinkedIn, it's a professional marketing for you being an instructor. You can join groups and talk to other instructors or talk to other individuals who might need training and offer your services on there. YouTube, record a video of yourself doing, chest compressions on a mannequin and discuss CPR training and post that on your site. People like to view videos. Post that video on Facebook. When people are scrolling through, it catches their eye and they'll go to your site. If you do use social media and you have a business, it's a perfect platform to generate more leads and get more business to your site. You want to post on your personal page as well. You probably have more friends on your personal page than you do your business page. So might as well tie those together and post the same thing, cross promotion basically. On Facebook, you can join groups as well, community groups, church groups, whatever it might be, where you can promote your classes. Hey, I have a CPR class this Saturday, come join. Post pictures from your classes and encourage reviews, like I said, and ratings. Yelp and Facebook, they offer ratings for businesses. A lot of these platforms also have back-end analytics, so you can see what they clicked on, if they made it to your website. And there are companies out there who help you promote your Facebook or your social media platforms, generate more likes, and the more likes you have, the more of a customer base you have to market your CPR services to. I'll turn it over to Caitlin to talk about flyers and business cards.
So flyers and business cards are a great way for you to network in your local area. We had a lot of instructors that were contacting us and they wanted to be able to provide flyers out in their community, but they weren't exactly confident in their design skills and really creating a professional look for a flyer. So we've taken that design guesswork out of the equation. Josh has created some really great flyers that all have different target audiences, and those are available within your resource library of your instructor portal. And these are great. They're fillable PDFs, so you just go in, simply click on the boxes and enter in the information. So maybe it's your CPR business name with the different classes you teach, your fees, CPR AED only versus first aid only. Or maybe you have a set upcoming class coming up, so you want to advertise for that date and that particular fee. It's really up to you what information you enter in this section. Now you can directly print from this PDF, or you can also save it as a PDF, and this is my favorite. If there's a business that I really want to target, I want to teach classes for them, I'll go into their website, I'll track down their general inquiry inbox email, or if it's a youth organization like the Boys and Girls Club, they'll typically have a training coordinator, so I'll target that particular employee's email. I'll send them an introduction email, and I'll just go ahead and attach an image of this PDF. Great thing about it, I don't have to pay printing costs, right? So you can do either printed or digital versions of our flyers. Now you're more than welcome to also create your own flyers. Again, we want you to create business cards or really any other marketing materials that you can think of. In the same spot within your resource library, we do have pre-approved certified instructor logos. These are for you to use in whatever marketing materials that you can come up with. You don't have to ask our permission. They're just right there for you at any time. Now, a couple of inexpensive companies that our instructors use to print materials, they use gotprint.com, vistaprint.com. These are really simple websites. Again, you don't have to have any kind of design experience. They're going to have templates available to you, so you can drag and drop your logos, just fill out the information, and get them printed for relatively inexpensive costs. Now, if you're someone who prefers that face-to-face interaction, depending on your local UPS store, that's a service that they might offer, business cards, marketing materials. So you could always check that out as well. So let's talk about using the instructor portal, but for marketing purposes. So we have a lot of features on our portal, and we want you guys to really start maximizing those features and really using it to your advantage. So one of these features is, as an instructor, you have the ability to go in and post upcoming classes directly into your portal. And so when there's students in your area that are looking for a class, they would come to emssafety.com and click on Find a Class. And if you've uploaded any upcoming classes, within the next couple of days, weeks, months, whatever it might be, your information is going to pop up, and your students are going to have a choice to go ahead and directly enroll in your class, or maybe they're just going to reach out to you, kind of find out who you are, what you're about, what you're charging, that type of thing. They also have the option through our website to just go to our Find an Instructor search. And depending on what you indicated on your registration form, you might already be showing up in the Find an Instructor search. The best way for you to determine that is if you go into the My Profile tab of your portal. At the bottom, it will have an icon that says Edit Profile, and a screen will pop up that will give you a chance to edit any of your personal information, but it will also have a box at the bottom that allows you to either check or uncheck it to indicate whether you want to be included in the Find an Instructor search. Now, I'm not currently teaching. I just moved to a new area. I have a brand new baby. So I actually forgot to turn off this feature when I moved. And I, within just the past couple weeks, was contacted by a daycare facility that was wanting to use my services. And I'm telling you this because I'm brand new to this area. I've done absolutely no marketing for my services, yet I still had potential students coming to me because of this feature. So I encourage you at the end of this webinar, go ahead and go into your profile and indicate whether you want to be included on that. You can turn it on or off at any time. It's really up to you.
And it's always key to make sure that your information is correct. So check frequently what information is displayed, what phone number is listed for the give out number, and your email address.
Yes, you don't want them contacting a number that you no longer have.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about customer relationship management, or commonly known as CRM. You'll do a quick search on Google for CRM, and some great options will show up. So it's about keeping organized. You could always use just, if you're currently using Outlook or Google Calendar and email, or iCalendar on your phone, those are great to keep organized. You can set tasks, you can book your classes on there, and it's a great way to keep yourself organized. But if you have another individual training with you, or running your business with you, look into a CRM. There's some free CRMs out there, some subscription ones if you have more than 3 employees working with you. HubSpot and Zoho, I believe, are free for under 3 users. But this just keeps all your contacts for your business in one area. You can keep notes in there. You can upload documents, save their contact information, create marketing lists, add new fields that are specific to your business and how you'd want to sort your clients. This allows you to also create marketing lists that you can send email blasts to about upcoming courses, or recertification reminders for your students, or just keeping in contact with your client base, letting them know that you're still around. Send out, hey, refer me and get a free first aid kit or something like that. But just kind of keeping constant contact with your clients helps that repeat business come back to you, and generates more leads. A couple mentions here for bulk email sends: Constant Contact, MailChimp, or SendGrid. They all offer bulk email sends. You can upload your marketing list from your CRM or from Outlook. And they have plug and play templates. You just drop in the information, and they have professional layouts that you just drop it in and you can send them out. You can see who clicked on what link, who went back to your website, and maybe who deleted the email. So that's a great way to keep your customers and clients organized in your system. Turn it over to Caitlin to just talk about getting active and networking within your community.
Yeah, so we definitely want you guys to really get involved and get your name out there. You could sign up for a health fair, you could host a booth at a community event, or we have a great picture to the right where one of our instructors recently participated in a parade and he had that beautiful banner made for it. If you do host a booth, they're usually going to give you, say, a dedicated 10 by 10 space. I encourage you, bring those marketing materials, those flyers, business cards that we're talking about. You can also bring free swag to hand out. So within our online store, we have EMS safety branded pins. We've got keychain barrier shields. Even just bring something as simple as a bowl of candy. It gets people to approach your booth so that you get a chance to talk to them. And also bring along your mannequins. These are great attention grabbers in this kind of atmosphere. Adults and kids alike, they love coming over and getting to just play on the mannequins. It gives you an opportunity to provide a quick compression only lesson, but also to get a chance to really make a personal connection with you. In addition, you can use an anti-choking trainer and create a fun game out of it. Have the visitors to your booth put that choking trainer on and shoot the choking pellets into a hula hoop or a bucket. Maybe they win a prize from it. It just lets them know that it's not going to be like a typical dry CPR class. They create that personal connection with you, and it gets them excited to take a real class with you. You also have the option to join your local Chamber of Commerce. So this type of organization, it's built around connecting local businesses and providing you those additional networking opportunities. Just know that each of the businesses that you're going to come into contact with could be a potential client that could use your services in the future.
Just to note, everyone, right after this slide, we will have a Q&A session. So go ahead and ask any questions, and after that will be the conclusion of the webinar.
Yeah, send those questions in. Give us some good ones. So finally, your goals for every class should be to have every student you teach return to you for a recertification, or what we're going to call as repeat business. In this industry, word of mouth is going to have a huge impact on your business, whether that's positive or negative. So, if a customer's satisfied, they might go around, tell one or two people, maybe they'll leave you a good review. Whereas if a customer is dissatisfied, they're going to tell everyone. For whatever reason, we always jump at a chance to leave a review when it's a negative experience, right? So it's really important that you always maintain your professionalism. This means working with students to solve any potential problems like payment issues, or issuing them a replacement card if they lost their card 6 months to a year down the road. You want to make sure you're doing that in a timely manner, and that you're maintaining a positive attitude during all interactions. So whether they end up being one of your students or not, always keep it positive. And then, like we were talking about earlier, we want you to make classes fun. So use those interactive scenarios that we have in your instructor manual. They get your students on their feet and interacting, and you're more than welcome to customize those scenarios. Make them more personal to your students, more realistic. And then use engaging training supplies and products. So I was talking about that anti-choking trainer earlier. It never fails. It's towards the end of the class. Students are ready to leave. When you get to that section with an anti-choking trainer, it just gets them interacting and giggling. It's always a huge hit during class. And then Jeff and I both use the Preston mannequins. They have feedback lights on them that let students know exactly how they're doing in real time. So it lets them know whether they're going too fast or too slow. And I mention these products because these products are usually ones that students just haven't seen before. So it piques their interest, and it helps you to appear that you're more up to date with technology and training compared to maybe a course that they took in the past. And finally, we want you to ask for referrals, right? You've taught a great class. immediately ask them for that referral. Do they know anyone who could benefit from your services? And then if you taught a class for a company that's well known, ask them for a letter of recommendation after class. This is great to use going forward in your marketing materials. And then as Jeff was talking about earlier, if you decide to start bidding in that public sector, you can actually use those letter of recommendations as part of your bid package.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Caitlin. That brings us to our next Q&A session. So we've got a few rolling in here, and again, we'll be on, for a little bit past the hour here. If we don't get to all your questions, we will follow up with you. So first one here, I follow EMS safety. I'm assuming on social media. Will you follow me back? Depending on the platform, we do follow back, depending on if it's Facebook or if it's some platforms don't allow businesses to follow individuals, but yes, we do our best to follow our followers. Got another one here. What is an anti-choker trainer, and where can I get one? So the anti-choking trainer.
All right. So anti-choking trainer is a device that allows you to teach adult or child choking to your students. It's a vest that you'll put on. They're available on our website. You can go to the emssafety.com and click shop, or a number of different ways, but check them out. There's some information on there. It's a blue vest you put on, and you actually put little foam, almost look like darts, down into the choking device. Someone will come up behind you and perform abdominal thrusts, and if done properly, the foam pellets or foam darts come shooting out, and the choking relief has been a success. So check it out. There's a bunch of videos online. It's probably been on the market, what do you think, Josh, 6 or 7 years now, and a really good tool when you're training a group. Get them up, get them active, not sitting in their chair doing the same thing. It's pretty neat.
Yeah,
it's always a hit.
Hit at little seminars like Caitlin was discussing. We take them to trade shows, and everyone wants to shoot the little plug out of the trainer itself. So another question here: do you have training for AED sales agents?
Yeah, there is. There's a video you're gonna watch. So that same link that I think Josh shot out earlier and he'll put out at the end, there's a video on there, about 10-minute video. It's gonna walk you through exactly what to do. Now, is that specific training on what an exact AED does and what some of the specifications are? No. You will have to self-study that a bit, but all the information will be available to you as soon as you get set up as an AED sales agent. One of the things that I always recommend folks that are going to get set up as a sales agent with us and they're not familiar with all the different models, or maybe they have a customer that's interested in a particular model, take some time, go on that manufacturer's website, and also search YouTube videos put out by the manufacturer. They will walk you through step by step how all the functions work, and it'll make selling it a lot easier in the long run. The more you know, the easier they are to sell.
All right, we've got a couple questions. Can we replay this video? So yeah, this webinar will be emailed out to anyone who registered. So there will be a link to it sent out tomorrow. We'll also have it available on emssafety.com/webinars, along with all our other webinars that we'll be shooting. What kind of icebreakers do you use for your courses?
Oh, I mean, I try to joke around with them a little bit, make it fun, right off the bat. One of the things that I do with all my classes, whether it's an instructor class or just a standard, CPR first aid class, is I put one of our, I think it's on the slides on the PowerPoint, but I put a slide up there. Tell me who you are, right? What's your position? Why are you taking my class? Do you have any previous experience with CPR and first aid? And really, half of the folks will probably say I'm taking it because I have to do it for work, but you might get those people in here that have had a life experience that maybe changed their mind about CPR and first aid, and them sharing with the class will really get everybody engaged. So I like to get the students kind of involved from the first part of class. Caitlin, any additional tips?
Yeah, just kind of adding on to that. One of the good things about knowing maybe who their employer is, what their background is when you're teaching the CPR class, you might have, a nurse or a paramedic or a firefighter, someone that has that professional experience that can really lend additional information and knowledge during class. And so you get that information in the first 5 minutes from them, and when it comes up, you're able to use their expertise that might have been delivered differently than how you would have given it. So you're, as an instructor, learning within that same class from those experienced individuals, but the students are also learning from them too. And if you hadn't asked those questions at the beginning, you would have had no idea.
Excellent, thank you. We got another one here. If you fill out a card wrong, or sorry, if you fill out a card with the wrong spelling of a name, how can it be fixed? So if I can take that one. If it's a digital card, if you're submitting it through the instructor portal, you'd want to check that. Always check before you submit that roster, because that's the best time to fix those spellings. So have your student take a look at their name. Is it spelled correctly? As well as with the physical roster. If you're doing hand printed cards, check with the student, if you can't read their name, how they wrote it on the roster, just go ahead and ask them, hey, is this the correct spelling? But it does happen. So the best, you can always reissue another card. Feel free to charge, whatever you'd like for that replacement card. You can put that fee onto your student. With a digital card, you'd have to contact EMS Safety to edit the completed roster if it's digital. If it's physical and you have a bank of certification cards already, go ahead and use a new one. You can charge the student for that, and then you'd be able to just recoup the cost on your next purchase. You have anything to add to that, Jeff?
No, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, we'll work with you. Obviously, we don't want you to call us every time you submit a digital roster to make those changes. That's why Josh mentioned double checking it, but it happens. We get them, probably a couple times a day from different instructors around the country. Shoot us an email to info@emssafety.com. We'll get the changes made for you right away. And with the physical card, we'll reissue a new one if you've got it on hand. If you have questions, again, email us. Easiest way to communicate.
Excellent. Last couple questions here. So is EMS internationally known? Will the certification be valid in the Dominican Republic?
So we certainly have certifications and national recognition here in the States. We also have instructors in many different parts of the country, many different parts of the globe. So we've got folks in Jamaica, Bermuda, Guam. I'm not sure if we have someone in Dominican Republic, but we do have them in other countries. And more often than not, if they do not have a CPR standard of their own, they'll look to a more established country that does have one, United States, maybe the UN or Australia, and follow those guidelines. So more likely than not, everything should be acceptable in most of those countries, especially in the Caribbean. Double check with them if there's any questions, but we haven't had a problem in the past.
All right, and the last question here. So how can you train instructors? So Jeff, maybe you want to go into instructor training and maybe select instructors as well.
Yeah, I'll talk about select instructors a little bit, and then I'm going to hand it off to Caitlin for instructor training, because she used to be a kind of the one in charge of that process. So if you want to maybe do some additional training and you're looking for more ways to generate income, and you say, hey, do you guys have any classes we could teach? Well, we do. EMS Safety occasionally gets what we call our corporate care classes. We have large businesses that we work with on a regular basis that reach out to us for courses all over the country. So if you're interested in being one of those instructors that's eligible to teach that, you have to go through our select instructor process. Again, easy to find information on our website. There's a short test that you'll take. You'll have to make sure you meet some requirements, and really those requirements are just that you've taught for EMS safety for a certain amount of time and you understand our program. And then you're eligible to be on our select list. So when someone comes up in your area, like let's say Caitlin, we get a client in the Dallas area that we need her to teach, she'll be one of those people that we reach out to and see if she's available for the day of the class. IT though, I'm going to turn that over to Caitlin.
All right, so becoming an instructor trainer or IT is a really simple process. There are some criteria that you're going to need to meet ahead of time. One of those is going to be that you've certified at least 50 students using the EMS safety program. And we do this so that we know that you're familiar with our curriculum particularly. Now, there's a couple quick steps that you'll do. You'll submit the roster showing that you've taught those 50 students. You'll also watch a video series that's specific to instructor trainers that's going to have some quick little questions at the end of it, little knowledge checks, along with our normal instructor exam. So we just want to make sure that you're knowledgeable. You're going to be able to teach those instructors what they need to know. Now, the final step that you're going to do, and this one's usually the one that's a little bit more lengthy, we need to know how you teach, right? So we have you submit 2 separate videos. One's going to be a lecture and one's going to be a skills topic. And we have a whole list that you can choose from, and you just basically record yourself, do your thing, show us your best product possible. And when you submit that, we have staff that go in and they evaluate it. If you did a great job the first time, we'll make you an IT. If we have feedback for you, we do have options for you to resubmit. So just know we're here to support you. We're going to give you that feedback that not only will make you more successful in becoming an instructor trainer, but it's going to make you a better instructor in general. So if you're interested in being an IT, you can either simply email, I believe it's going to be it@emssafety.com, or you can visit the website and it'll give you this detailed list of what you need to do to become an IT. I believe that's going to be emssafety.com/instructor trainer.
All right. Well, thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, Jeff. And thank you, everyone, for attending our webinar. We wish you the best of luck in your CPR business. And if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at 800-215-9555 or shoot us an email to info@emssafety.com. Have a great day.